There is a big difference between breathing and thinking way too much about breathing. And there is an intimate relationship between human relationships and perception. Having fun with and getting to know people is the single most important ingredient for me for seeing reality clearly, for cleaning the smudges from my perception. And having fun with and getting to know people is the best medicine there is for the acute interpersonal discomfort, for taking the edge off it, for getting past the unique nastiness of the schizotypal ego. There are evolutionary psychological explanations for this property of perception, and there are spiritual metaphysical explanations for it. A complete portrait of reality requires both types of explanations. There is no contradiction. If you perceive a contradiction, then your epistemology has room for an upgrade. Okay, having fun with and getting to know people, parties, festivals, other social and community situations, other human beings are the source of terrible, horrible emotional difficulties for me simply by their presence, by their existence. But paradoxically, my relationships with other people are the solution to exactly these difficulties. Social situations allow me to apply 101% of my energies into human relationships, and I have learned that doing this is the single most awesome thing I can do for my sanity and emotional and spiritual health. I should emphasize, I must emphasize that it has taken me years to learn how to consistently enter a social situation and relate to it in a way which purges my mental gunk and makes life enchanted and beautiful. And it has been tough learning what for most people seem to be the most basic common sense understandings of human social interactions for me were grand epiphanies, which I had to arrive at again and again and again and again before they finally settled as permanent habits. But at last, at age 32, after about 10 years or so of passionately and obsessively developing my social skills, I am content with what I am. Maybe. The schizotypal everything, the spontaneous compulsive obsessions and awkward emotions, inevitably reduce the extent that I connect with other human beings, interfering with my emotional spontaneity and ability to communicate and so on and so forth. But if I am in a social situation and I am determined to push through to positive states of being, I do. It might take an hour or so. I might have a friendly conversation or two while experiencing moderate, freaking out emotions on the inside. But at some point, some invisible being somewhere pushes the life is a miracle button firmly enough, and whoa, I'm having fun. A lot of fun. Whoa, how does that work? It's pretty cool. I'm especially fond of festivals and festival-like situations. They give me the opportunity to connect with others with great emotional intensity for days on end. The greatest happiness that I've so far experienced has been in such situations. It has become a spiritual practice for me to go out and socialize at least once a week, whether it is going to a poetry slam or holding a cardboard sign with a weird message on a busy sidewalk on a Saturday night or whatever. Even if I am feeling antisocial, I go out to socialize. Actually, the majority of the time, socializing is one cure for feeling antisocial. Okay, and one weird realization that I have arrived at sometime in the last 1 or 2 years is that I actually am innately a very gregarious guy. I love conversations. I love meeting new people. I love hitchhiking. In elementary school, I often got in trouble for talking too much. But I also have this extra thing in me, hardwired into my perception, which makes me uncomfortable around people and inclined to seek a great deal of solitude. So this means that I am a gregarious, antisocial, extroverted, introverted, lovingly misanthropic myself. This is annoying and weird. There are inherent limitations to how much I can get past all of my schizotypal nastiness. It's easy to compare working on the farm to grocery stores. When working on the farm, I am outside, immersed in the unspeakable beauty of the plants and the elements, working with a small number of people whom I know and whom I am getting to know better every day, and I am engaging in conceptually relatively simple tasks. At a grocery store, I am inside in a crowded space full of strangers, and making consumer decisions is a conceptually very complex activity. So, working on the farm has the right mix of ingredients that make possible amazing perceptual highs, while in a grocery store I consider it an accomplishment if I am almost relaxed and strike up a simple conversation with the cashier. The funny exception to my pathological relationship with grocery stores is when I go shopping with a friend. The funniness is that the relationship with my friend grounds me emotionally and mentally, and what is usually an ordeal is suddenly the most casual of activities, a no big deal. And I have my own explanations for why this works, but I want to leave you to ponder it yourself. Alright, so being in the world, working with people, being surrounded by people while my mind and emotions are doing so much distracting, awkward, and painful shit, all the while trying to not let it all get the better of me, maneuvering the motorized vehicle of my perception around obstruction after obstruction in the road, and striving to embody all this in a spirit of good humor and benevolence. Well, guess what? All of that can be exhausting. And one of the greatest boons for my mental, emotional well-being is to have my own room to escape to when my mind is a four-vehicle pileup and I feel that I cannot endure being around other human beings even a moment longer, or when I really simply want to be by myself. Like, being around people can be really challenging sometimes, really difficult, and just to have my own room, go back to my room, put in the earplugs, be at peace, it's so simple. And I can get a lot done, like reading and writing, when I have the option of solitude. This video series, for example, required me having my own room as well as earplugs worn continuously when I am in my room to protect me from the sounds of the other people in the house, sounds which otherwise would be the devil scraping out gullies in my gray matter with a backhoe, making it impossible for me to be calm and to concentrate. The rule, is that in order for me to function while in my room, I need to be able to pretend that there are no other people in the house. So I wear earplugs to cancel out the sounds. Right now I have a big backpack between covering up the space between the door and the floor, because frequently the shadows of footsteps are simply too much of a distraction, and it's simpler just to put the backpack there. Anyway, I recently was intentionally homeless for over 6 months, and almost never in that time did I have my own room. And how did the experience work out? Except for the goddamn rats in New Orleans, I enjoyed it. All that freedom definitely has its perks. However, I had to embrace a great deal of chaos in my life in order to do that, in order to be intentionally homeless. I could not be nearly as organized and focused and productive and efficient as I like to be. And really, I am happier and more productive overall having my own room. So being homeless, it worked. I'm grateful for the experience, but now that I have a room again, I'm grateful for that. And overall, having my own room really makes a huge, huge, huge difference in my reality. So while the single most important thing for my psychological health is to stay connected with other people, other things also are important. Having my own room and being productive are at the top of the list. I am always going to have specific difficulties in my abilities to concentrate and connect with other human beings. I'm always going to have nasty, risky emotions and screwy perception that I would be better off without. But whatever, don't perceive oneself to be a victim speech. You can imagine, consider it implied. My emotions are 100% my responsibility. 100%. It doesn't matter what nastiness life throws at me, or even what inescapable suffering life throws at me. Blaming events beyond my control for my feelings is an unhealthy perceptual choice, and I always, every moment, have the option to choose healthy perceptual choices. Always. I keep on pushing myself as far as I will go, always stretching my mind and heart into new shapes, paying attention to what works and what doesn't work. Paying attention to what feels right and what does not. A commitment to this allows me to succeed at living up to the higher expressions of my spirit. Before I end this video, I want to repeat a famous Einstein quote. It is perhaps the truest thing a human being ever said. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Oh, and last of all, here is one of my quotes. We will all be the voices inside of each other's heads until every last one of us is fucking cured. Thank you.